So fair warning, folks. The All-In Besties are about to discuss Elon Musk's 2018 compensation being ratified and likely leave a few corpses in their wake. 4 men who completely understand the concept of adding value in the marketplace and being compensated accordingly.
Last night, Tesla shareholders have backed their guy. Yes, there was 2 important measures that Tesla just had taken with their shareholders. The first was approving Elon's pay package, the $56 billion pay package that was voided by a Delaware judge. We talked about that on episode 164 back in February. And then moving Tesla's incorporation from Delaware to Texas. This is also major. Remember, we talked last week about the Texas Stock Exchange. Here's the 2 charts. Massive, overwhelming support. There were some notable people who dissented. I think Norway's Sovereign Wealth Fund and CalPERS were 2 of the ones who were voting against it. Tesla share price popped 6% on the news. You don't want to lose Elon at Tesla. That would be really bad. So your thoughts, Chamath, on this vote and maybe the move and what that represents?
It's kind of odd that we're in this crazy place.
Say more.
When that original package was unveiled, there was a lot of people, including me, who thought there's no way he's going to hit this. It's just way too aggressive and it requires so many things to go right. And so I think in part that's why 3/4 of the Tesla shareholders approved it then. 73% is not squeaking over the line. It's not 50% plus a vote.
That's right. It was an enormous yes margin and pretty obvious why. In essence, the minimum threshold for Tesla shareholders in terms of the return on their investment, if they just held the very first milestone required the stock to literally double in value and maintain that for like 5 years plus earnings and revenue growth. That was the minimum to double the stock. And at the very far end, the final tranche would require the market capitalization of Tesla increasing by 10 times, plus enormous revenue and earnings growth, completely in the best interest of shareholders. You'd have to be a moron not to approve this, and obviously there's plenty of morons out there. But this was a brilliant, purely performance-based compensation package directly incentivizing massive performance from the company and major increases in the company's valuation. It's true, many people at the time thought the final tranches, even halfway along, were absurd. Well, the stock's got to double again and double again. What? No. The revenue's got to go to what? No. Earnings, what? No, not happening. But even if you thought the targets were ridiculous, you'd still have to be a moron not to vote in favor of this massive carrot being dangled in front of Elon Musk. Because worst case, he misses some of the milestones or doesn't achieve any. And he doesn't get anything, no compensation whatsoever. Voting in favor of this compensation package was a true no-brainer.
It's a super majority.
And that excluded Kimball and Elon shares.
Exactly. And then I think you had this very dangerous form of judicial activism, which essentially ignored the will of the shareholders and tried to create some administrative ruling that threw up this big question mark. So then, in typical Elon style, he's like, great, we're just going to get them to vote it again. And then yet again, it passes, and it looks like it's going to pass by around 73%. But the problem now is that it's still not clear what happens. I think that there's still some question marks where this may not nullify the judge's decision. It may actually create more question marks. So hopefully this gets sorted out. He should get this stock. He never should have, or these options, he never should have had them taken away. And so I just hope this thing, it becomes a nothing burger.
Sachs, you have thoughts on this outcome? Is it surprising to you? Not surprising? And then I think the jurisdiction thing is bigger than maybe people are thinking, because Delaware has been the standard for incorporating companies, but Elon is putting his companies in Nevada and Texas. We saw the stock exchange last week getting back to move to Texas. This does seem like there's something about jurisdiction in the water. What are your thoughts, Sachs?
Well, I think it's ironic that the winning margin, 73%, is the same margin by which shareholders approved his comp package back in 2018. So again, they got 73% voted for this 2018. Now they voted to reapprove it by the same margin. And the reason why they had to do it is because this activist judge in Delaware voided it on the grounds that somehow the original shareholder vote wasn't valid. And I think this is interesting that the margin didn't change, because it shows that shareholders aren't ingrates. Elon delivered what he promised, and now shareholders are upholding their end of the bargain. And certainly they didn't have to take that position. There were different groups like CalSTRS who basically took the position, what have you done for me lately? Yeah, you delivered, but we don't have to pay you because of the judge, so we're not going to pay you.
I have a couple of thoughts. First of all, a comparable margin of votes in favour in 2018 versus today, despite the relentless campaign of Elon bad in the media, especially since he acquired Twitter, now X. It's pretty impressive. Clearly, Tesla shareholders, on average, appreciate not only Musk's hard work, his importance to the company, but fairness. Now, as for the folks, the funds, the money managers and so on, even the individual shareholders that Sachs is referencing who voted no, these folks either have no integrity, no brain cells, or possibly both. For one, voting today to rob Musk of fairly earned compensation. What do you think this would have done to the value of Tesla's stock? So all those money managers out there, the pension funds, the index funds, everyone managing money for other people, or individually owning Tesla stock, who voted no on Musk compensation being ratified, has to be a fucking moron, because how could that possibly be helpful to the value of your investment? You'd have to have brain damage to think it would help, like actual brain damage, or emotional damage, which tends to create brain damage. So there was no logical reason for anyone to be voting no. Now, it's also providing a very compelling insight into the character of certain people, certain funds. Irrespective of the fact that they'd be shooting themselves in the foot in terms of harming their investment, aka brain damage or emotional damage. But what kind of character do you have to be willing to rob somebody of fairly earned compensation who produced extraordinary results that you directly benefited from? Worse still, the folks who previously in 2018 voted yes, Sachs alluded to, yet in 24 vote no, aka what have you done for me lately? These are the worst of the worst, absolute scum. How could you trust somebody? And the hilarious thing is, most of these folks will either have to publicly disclose, the money managers, the pension funds, the indexes, that they voted no. People will be able to see what they've done, and guess what? Money's going to flee. In addition, those folks, those individuals who proudly declared on social media and elsewhere that they would be voting no, especially those who previously in 2018 were supportive of this plan, have just sent a massive signal to the entire world. Do not ever trust me. Don't do business with me. I'm a low value, low character, slimy snake. I'll stab you in the back. I'm a weasel. We make a deal, I'll fuck you over later. I'm the worst of the worst. Run. And the hilarious thing is the lack of self-awareness from these morons. Honestly, how dumb can you possibly be to be one of those individuals who in 2018 supported this, in 2024 voted no, and then to have told people, this is like being out on a first date with a woman, and 5 minutes into the date she's telling you that she cheated on her last 7 boyfriends and she's only had 7 boyfriends. I'm like, oh, well, it's definitely not going to do that to me. You fucking idiot. So little self-awareness. It's incredible. Anyway, back to the besties.
And I think shareholders wisely approved the package because I think there was some chance that if they reneged, that Elon could leave the company. And I still think he's absolutely vital to all the innovation that's going to come in the future from Tesla. And you see this, the stock is ripping on the news. It's up about 3% today in a down market. So clearly the market thinks that securing Elon's future at the company was the right decision and shareholders did the right thing.
Yeah.
In terms of the downstream effect on this, like you said, it raises the specter of Delaware being an activist state. That's not why anyone incorporates in Delaware. The reason why you incorporate in Delaware is because you think it makes you subject to an extremely predictable body of corporate law that's been tested and become bulletproof over many, many decades. And now all of a sudden, you have to worry that maybe a judge will set aside a shareholder vote for reasons that seem incredibly specious, especially in light of the fact that the shareholders just reapproved it. So obviously the shareholders didn't think they needed your protection and they voted to reverse you. And moreover, Tesla could still be subject to paying the legal fees of these trial lawyers who've asked for literally billions of dollars in legal fees that the judge still has to rule on. So imagine this. Imagine that the shareholder vote gets set aside by the judge. It then gets reapproved by shareholders. But the trial lawyers who brought this nuisance suit can now get billions of dollars. If that happens, I mean, Delaware can kind of kiss its status as the premier corporate law state away.
Bro, could you imagine the absurdity of the vultures, not lawyers, the vultures that brought this case, thieving billions of dollars from Tesla? Bro, if this happens, I can't even fathom that it's going to, but you know what? I'll just save my thoughts. Let's just assume and hope that it doesn't. If it does, I'll be revisiting this and holy fuck, look out. The gall and the audacity, by the way, of these dicks to ask for close to $6 billion of compensation for harming Tesla and wasting everyone's fucking time. The audacity. Unbelievable.
Friedberg, is to say John Galt, moment? Is this where capitalism, socialism, and the state collide and people now start thinking, maybe we need to create a new jurisdiction, a new framework?
That's a good question. I think it's a good example for capitalism. And I think it should shine the light on how other CEOs are getting compensated at public companies, where there's typically a multi-million-dollar or multi-deca-million-dollar pay package that has no dependency on the performance of the business. You can make tens of millions of dollars a year and not drive shareholder value. And I think that the way that this deal was structured, where Elon effectively got 10% of the company for 10xing the stock, should be an example that other boards should actively consider when considering both candidates and their appetite for this sort of a package and their compensation packages themselves. The way executive comp typically works at the board level at public companies is you hire these comp consultants, and the comp consultants come in and they use comparables, which basically means let's do what everyone else does. And so you have this self-reinforcing system of compensation and benefits for CEOs that bumps up a little bit every year, that ultimately has some degree of ownership in the stock, but fundamentally has very little downside. And Elon had no guarantees in his pay package when he got this comp package originally in 2018, and he got 10% of the company if he 10x'd the stock, which is what he did. I really think that it is worth having this become the kind of beacon for all boards to consider. And it seems like shareholders in aggregate are applauding the concept. And look, Elon is a special guy and he gets special treatment. But I think that it moves the needle and should move the needle a little bit for other CEOs and other boards to stand up and say, we should think about something that looks a lot more like this than what we typically do. And I think you would find a very different cast of people showing up to become CEOs and to drive performance out of these businesses, and a lot more risky and aggressive behavior than what I think you would typically see in big companies that are in maintenance mode.
Now, this is a great idea from David. Incentivize CEOs based on performance as opposed to just paying them tens of millions of dollars a year in total compensation, irrespective of how they perform. P.S. Mary Barra has left the chat. And he does make a great point. It'd certainly bring in a lot of new types of people to these roles who are willing to accept the terms of performance-based comp. However, I'm here to tell you, this ain't going to fucking happen. You are dreaming. There's too little courage. It's so much easier just to take the simple path. Oh, I prefer to just get tens of millions of dollars in compensation every year, even if I destroy the company. Is that okay? That's better for me. It'd be nice to see more CEOs having the balls to be compensated like Musk. It'll drive far greater performance. But the amount of pushback you'd see from people that just want comfortable, easy, consistent, predictable. I mean, you'd think that leaders of companies should have their performance and compensation directly tied to one another. Perform, get compensated. Underperform, get undercompensated. Don't perform, don't get compensated. Seems reasonable. But these are leaders of companies. They're not just a cog in the machine, an employee, which I can totally understand, just wants a consistent salary. But this will be a hard sell.
What do you guys think of the organizations that initially voted yes and now voted no?
They basically are saying, look, I mean, if you think about it, you're a big public company. I don't know what ISS recommended. This is Institutional Shareholder Services.
They recommended no both times.
Right. And so ISS basically is what a lot of big public fund managers will follow when they make their votes. And so if I'm a shareholder...
That's not what I'm asking.
No, I know what I'm saying. But like, let's say that I'm BlackRock or I'm a shareholder. I'm not going to put BlackRock as some big shareholder of Tesla stock. Why would I vote to give away 10% of the company when I don't have to?
Yeah, very simple. Because
he would leave.
Morals and ethics matter, and you want to do the right thing, and you want to incentivize capitalism to operate properly, and want to incentivize the people who take on the burden of running these companies. And the people who voted against it, I think people should just make a list of those individuals, Chamath, and they should not do business with them. Because if somebody is going to double cross you, they've shown you who they are. These are...
God damn, they're hitting the nail on the head here. This is so important, and they get it. Imagine that, some guys with big brains getting it. Jason's right about a list, by the way. Take notes, whether it's a literal list or a mental list. It's important to know who the snakes are.
People who double cross them. They got the benefit, and then they stabbed him in the back. That's
exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did.
It's worse if they voted yes the first time and then they voted no.
No, I'm saying, and there's
if you
a
were
quantifiable group.
Then maybe you're just against the deal. But if you're yes, no, then that's a renege.
Then you're a true scumbag.
You're a scumbag.
Is that public anywhere? Who did that?
Yeah, there are a bunch of folks that said that they, I think it was CalPERS that voted yes. And then when they were on trying to explain, they were like dancing in like corporate jargon. But really what they are scumbags. Jason, you're right. They are morally and ethically void, and they're reneging. And this is the one rule in business you're not allowed to do. And the people that do that are these penny pinching scumbags.
I'm not saying a blacklist, but I would say making a list of people who maybe you want to consider not doing business with is how I would frame it. These are people
but they're public market investors. They're not private investors. They buy the stock on the open market, so they don't have to worry.
I mean, I think the question is, what are the chances that Elon leaves the company if he didn't get the pay package? The chances
I think
were
that
probably...
was a risk, and I think that
was
made
a
people
non-zero possibility.
think about it.
Yeah, non-zero possibility.
You made an agreement with somebody and you shook their hand.
Yeah.
Why does it care whether he would have left or not left? This is like...
You have to do the right thing. Yeah.
You have to do the right thing. You promised the guy X amount of money for doing Y amount of things. He did the Y things, and then you had a judge come over the top because of somebody who owned 10 shares. And all I'm saying is if you don't have the intellectual intelligence to look past that and say, wait a minute, we just paid the guy to do this work and now we're going to renege.
They're gaming the system.
I just think that, like, how can anyone who is capable of doing a job sign up for a pay package? How could anyone? And the people that will sign up are these like middling corpo people who will accomplish nothing and will run these companies in ways that then speaks to organizations that have just proven themselves to be totally unreliable.
The irony of the thing is that these folks thought that they were getting a 10% free roll when they voted no. And the reality is that by him getting the pay package, the certainty of him sticking around at the company caused the stock to go up by 10%. So they actually had the calculus wrong, that if they had gotten their way, the stock would have declined by more than the 10% free roll they thought they were getting.
This is, I think, the main point.
And 10% being the ownership of the company that he gets. Yeah.
The pay package was laughed at on CNBC by all the experts. There is no way for him to hit this stuff. If he does hit it, he's getting a fraction of the value of it. And this is why stock is such a valuable device. If employees get stock and the CEO gets stock and everybody in between and retail investors get it and endowments get it and your retirement account gets it, everybody rows in the right direction. Is it perfect? No. People can buy back their stock. They can do a little gaming on the margins, but it is the most pure system we have. Everybody has a share of the company. So if you're a socialist, you should actually kind of appreciate how stock works, that everybody has a chance to buy it. Everybody has a chance to participate. This is the model we should be using for all CEOs. They should all get a massive package if the stock goes up and to the right. It's so obvious, and this was so unfair. Let's see this flipper. I want to see their explanation.
Compensation is commensurate with the performance of the company.
Did you vote for it in 2018?
I believe we did vote for it in 2018.
Okay,
but this is about long-term value creation.
Hold on.
Okay.
But do you believe you were duped in 2018?
No. I believe we used the information we had available and made the best choice.
Okay, so here's what I find so interesting about this particular choice. 73%, I believe, of the shareholders voted in favor of it in 2018. A judge has said that shareholders were not informed properly.
Right.
If you talk to most shareholders, by the way, especially big shareholders, they say we were not duped. We understood completely what we were doing, and we were on board with this. Now that this opportunity has arrived on your doorstep to actually rethink this, if you will, there's a view that, maybe we're not getting the value we thought we should. You thought you should get it, but he's worked, by the way, under the assumption that he was hitting the numbers and dealing with the contract. If I told you that you were being paid a certain amount of money in 2018, and then I called you and said, actually, you know what, we're not going to give you that money anymore, what would you do?
That's a great question. I would go to my board. I would talk with my board.
This woman is so smug. What is her name? Karen Frost?
I don't think she's smug.
Sorry, Marshy Frost. Oh, sorry, I thought it was Karen Frost.
I think this is emblematic of the kind of person who is incapable of actually doing the right thing.
Did he say person who is incapable of doing the right thing? And previously referenced insufficient intellectual capacity to understand the harm that voting no... What's this on screen right now? Oh, it looks like a random post from X. I don't know who this is from, but let's read it anyway. I will be voting no on everything on the Tesla proxy. No friends and family on the board of directors. No obscene pay package after destroying $600 billion of Tesla value. No moving to Texas to avoid shareholder governance. Now, just to be clear, this is a screenshot, so I can't personally verify the authenticity of this screenshot, but it was posted. Credit to Arment is Investing, reposted by Alex of ticker symbol U. Some guy, the highest post, maybe because I follow this dude, says, fuck this gigantic sausage wallet. And somebody says he deleted it with a question mark. Alex responds, yep, click this tweet and scroll up. Okay, so this tweet was deleted, or this post was deleted by the author. Somebody responded to this tweet, allegedly the one we've just seen in the screenshot. Again, this won't age well, Ross. Ross responds that I'm voting no. So there is confirmation that he's voting no. And wow, why would you delete this after the vote? So there's a saying, ladies and gentlemen, it's an important one. Take note. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The boys on the All In pod nailed it. Scumbag. Untrustworthy. Backstabber.
And there's a lot of these people that run a lot of these organizations. What kind of an answer is that?
I mean, it was a non-answer. That's why I said it was smug.
Let me just ask each of you. You've all started companies. Some of you are still running companies. Would you take money from her and CalPERS after that statement?
Hard no for me. Yeah.
But remember, she's not investing in private companies. She's buying stock on the open market. So
No. CalPERS
CalPERS
announced
does
that they
venture firms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
CalPERS announced that they're an LP and they're starting to do directs.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're trying to catch up. They've been behind on venture.
Let's call this whole thing what it is. It was a heist. You had these trial lawyers. They find a named plaintiff who's got 9 shares. And on a contingency fee basis, they go after Elon's pay package. What are they looking for? $5.6 billion.
How does a lawyer make $5 billion? How is
That's
that
what
possible?
motivated this whole thing. They don't care about Tesla. They don't care about the company. They don't care about shareholders. They're looking for a giant multi-billion-dollar contingency fee payment, and they took their shot. And they found a Delaware judge to basically agree with them, even though shareholders approved it. And then shareholders reapproved it. So my question is, how much are these trial lawyers going to get? Is a judge going to award them billions of dollars for what was clearly now a mistake?
So my personal opinion is that these trial lawyers should pay everyone else's legal expense. In fact, I can't believe I have to say this, but bro, what the fuck is wrong with the United States judicial system, in particular, the legal system? It's such a litigious society. You know why? Because by default, the loser doesn't pay everyone else's fees. Can you imagine how many problems would be solved? How many unnecessary lawsuits would not occur? How little time would be wasted? And how difficult it would be to try to bankrupt somebody through endless cases, rigged cases, fraudulent cases, fake cases. Can you just imagine if one simple change was made where loser pays? Simple as that. Loser pays. Today, it's quite simple to bankrupt somebody. If you keep dragging them through the legal process with frivolous lawsuits, you can go after somebody and literally bankrupt them just from their legal fees, even if all the cases are total horseshit. This would solve a lot of problems, but honestly, it would also put a lot of lawyers out of a job. Is this reasonable? Yes, it is. I'm not even asking you. It's fucking reasonable. It's crazy that this isn't just the default. Like, hello, loser pays? The end. These fucking lawyers.
To avoid a pay package that shareholders wanted to stick with, if they award these lawyers billions of dollars, which is what they're seeking, no one's going to want to do business in Delaware anymore because it subjects you to these stick-up heists by trial lawyers. So I think that's going to be the next big shoe to drop is what do these trial lawyers get awarded?
Well, what are they going to get paid? Because they also wanted to get paid in Tesla shares. No, I'm serious.
Here's an idea. Buy the shares yourself.
Yeah, they said, we don't like your management of the company, but we want to be paid in your shares. Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, they got their shares and then they voted to give Elon the next pay package. So it's just a full-on grift. They secured the bag.
But Delaware is supposed to protect corporations against this grift. That's why people incorporate there.
When people ask, why does Delaware have this special place that everybody decided Delaware would be where we incorporate? It was because it was predictable. Lawyers felt this was the most predictable jurisdiction that would be the most shareholder friendly, most shareholder thoughtful, whatever word you want to use.
Well, yes, Jason, it was the most predictable and fair and reasonable until Elon bad. Because once Elon bad, well, everything changed. And now the judicial system is being weaponized to go after people. Elon's the first because he's the biggest bad. But this just goes to show corrupt activists pretending to be a judge, some vulture-like trial lawyers seeking a multi-billion-dollar payday. It's outrageous that this case ever happened. But it's now demonstrated. Any company incorporated in Delaware is probably negligent if they don't get the fuck out of there. Otherwise, guess what? This will be just the first of many ridiculous cases.
They would defend the shareholders, and here we are.
The last company I started, 8090, we incorporated in Nevada, and I just redomiciled a couple of other companies that I own into Nevada as well.
It's becoming a trend. We're having very big discussions about this in the startup community of where to domicile your company, and more to come on this one. Okay, let's keep moving. Apple had a huge announcement.
In short, Delaware has fucked around and found out. So too, some scumbags have fucked around, found out, and exposed themselves in their true nature. Just remember, the internet is forever. And I still find it so incredible, the total lack of self-awareness from these scumbags to admit they're scumbags. They won't honour deals. They'll stab you in the back. To say that out loud, again, back to the analogy. It's like the girl you're on a date with and she admits that she's cheated on every single one of her boyfriends, but don't worry, she won't do it to you. Come on, bro. I mean, how dumb do you have to be to disclose this? Do you guys understand how fucking brain dead you need to be? Like, you get it right. You're putting a signal out to the world about your character, your nature as a person, and it's not a positive signal. I mean, appreciate the disclosure, but bro, you got to be so stupid. I mean, if you really hate the guy and you want to vote no, just do it quietly. Don't tell people you're doing it. Otherwise, everyone knows what a piece of shit you are. Even if you delete your posts later, everyone has receipts. Now, personally, I expect this will be the end of it. Tesla goes back to the dickhead pretending to be a judge in Delaware and says, listen, dickhead, look how many people voted again. Percentage and absolute terms. You fucking idiot. Fuck you. Go away. The end. Hopefully that's the end of it. But you never know. This could get dragged out. It really depends on whether or not Kathleen McSeabomb has a puppet master pulling her strings. And that's about all I'll say on that. One final thing. I believe in July next month, there will be disclosures from index funds, pension funds and so on how they voted. You know what's going to happen. Every retail investor out there who themselves has any character, if they have money anywhere where one of these funds voted no, guess what? They're going to move their money. There's going to be a mass exodus of Tesla retail shareholders from index funds, money managers, mass exodus. It's going to be the ultimate fuck around find out moment. I can't wait. It's going to be glorious. Calm as a bitch. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. There's plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.